Alright, let us spawn some enemies in our game. I have a map and 2 enemies already set up for this example. First things first, create a new scene and make it a 3D scene, name it however you like. That's all we need to do here, pretty easy. Create a new script for it and name it whatever you like. Inside the script, create an enum, and name it type. I will add the enemy types I wish to spawn to this enum. Under that, create an export category to organize your spawner better. Now, we will add 2 export variables. The first one is called enemy type, and will be the same type of our enum. The second variable will be called enemy level, and will be of type int. If you go to the spawner node and check the inspector, you will see our variables ready. Create another export category. Under this one, we will make 2 more export variables. First one is enemy amount of type int, and the other will be our wait time of type float. We will use our wait time so enemies don't spawn at the same time. With that done, we will create another export category for our spawn positions. I will make 3 variables of type marker 3D for this example. You can use a different way to spawn enemies in the position you want, but this will do for this video. After our positions are set, we will need to access our enemies by creating 2 variables. In my case, red and yellow. Access their scenes by using preload, and looking for the right scene. Now we need to create the necessary functions to spawn our enemies. I will need 4 for this one. On enemy spawn, spawn red, spawn yellow, and increase stats. On our increase stats function, add the variable of name enemy inside the brackets. Now to spawn our enemies, I will start with red, by creating a variable named rand_pos of type, randy_range, and make its range from 1 to 3 since I only have 3 spawn positions. Now, create a new variable and name it enemy. Since this function will spawn red enemies, I will type redEnemy.instantiate. To spawn them in a random position, I will use match rand_pos. Then, spawn enemies depending on the number of its range. By using if statement, I will simply tell the spawner to add enemies in one of the 3 positions if they are valid. If not, then they will always spawn in position 1, since you should always have at least 1 position active. Copy the code in 3 into 2. And change spawn position 3 to spawn position 2. For match 1, we will simply spawn the enemy, since position 1 should always be active. Outside of our match statement, type add_child and put the enemy variable inside the brackets. We will use the same code for our spawn yellow function, but in our enemy variable, instead of redEnemy.instantiate, we will use yellowEnemy.instantiate. Now, we go to our onSpawnEnemy function. We will use another match statement to check the type of enemy we wish to spawn. In my case, I will check for red, yellow or both. To actually spawn our enemy, we will use a for loop. Type for I in enemy amount to create a for loop. Under our for statement, we will use await to create the timer. By typing await get tree.create timer, and instead of adding a number like 0.2, we can simply give it our wait time variable. Finish the statement by adding .timeout. Under await, simply add the function to spawn the type of enemy you want. I will do the same for the others, and simply change spawn red to spawn yellow, and then add both at the end. Since I do not have a way to trigger the spawner in this project, I will simply add the onSpawnEnemy function in a ready function. That way, the spawner will start with the game. With our spawner done, we can now add it to our scene and tweak the values to our liking. Create the marker 3D nodes in your scene and add them to the spawner. Position them wherever you like. As you can see, we have our enemies spawning in random positions. Some of them might spawn on top of each other, because they are static. Once we know our enemies spawn correctly, we can change their stats based on their level. Go to the increase stats function in our spawner, and type the next line of code. There are plenty of formulas you can use to level up stats, but this is a simple one that will work just fine. Now, do the same for the other stats. With that done, we can simply add this function in our spawn yellow or spawn red functions. To check if our stats actually increase, I will print the enemy's health to the console. Then, I will increase the enemy level to 7. If we look at the console, you will notice the enemy's health has increased. Now, if I change the level once more, you will see the enemy's health increase again. Leaving the level at 0 will keep your default values. Of course, this changes depending on what formula you are using. Remember, the larger the wait time, the longer enemies will take to spawn. You can also spawn different type of enemies. And with that, we are done. The method is not perfect, but I hope you can find it useful. Thank you for watching.